I do have your clip loaded though in my media database. If you'd like to go over that,
let's do it. Oh my goodness, this is gonna be deep for me. Let's do it.
all
The
right.
time has come.
So your clip that you sent me is going to play in full on the screen in front of us.
Okay.
All right, stand by.
I would like for you to eat the steak and the foie gras. I really would.
I can't do that.
You can, but you won't. Yet. What could you do with it?
You should eat it. Just close your eyes. It's a lot of money.
Eat it with some of the liver.
I can't believe I'm doing this.
A lifetime of discipline and commitment to cause wiped away by a mere $10,000. Well, that is nothing compared to what's really at stake tonight. I can assure you of that.
It's a great movie. I love that movie.
I've never seen it before. I saw that clip on something on Instagram. Now, the way that clip was used was not why I wanted to bring it up today. When I saw that clip, it spoke to me so effing hard. So hard. Even I've seen it back quite a few times now. It's still heavily, like my whole vibe's different than just a few minutes ago. And here's why. Here's some TMI. Go ahead, hit the alarm.
Oh, I'm going to hit the alarm. There's the alarm. Hold on.
All right, here we go. So I want to say 2009, 10-ish. For reasons that I'm not going to get into right now. That's when I decided I no longer wanted to do topless or nude content. Because prior to that, I had. And my whole thing was like, I always wanted to be in Playboy, like the whole 9 yards. So I always thought that that was what my future was going to be, is eventually I'd be in Playboy, I'd be a playmate. And then, because a lot like wrestling, there's a lot of like signings and conventions that go along with that as well. So I thought it'd be cool to be one of those girls that have been in wrestling that did Playboy. So I changed my mind and I was like, I don't want to do that anymore. So I had this whole rule that was like no nips, no vag. That's the thing. I'll wear something scantily clad all day long for like a shoot or like whatever, sexy outfit, but no nips, no vag. And I kept to it, and people would offer me so much money for shoots. And I'm not talking about like customs. I'm talking about like real photo shoots. And not like they were saying, oh, like a custom would, like, oh, let me give you this money. It was like, hey, you're in this modeling database. You've done nude before. That's not what they're saying, but the vibe is you're in a database because you've done topless nude before. So we want to book you. And I would turn stuff down. I'm like, oh, I don't do topless and nude anymore. And they're like, why? Blah, blah, blah. So I stuck to it, man. And then let's go into the era of broke ass Shelly and more of the fetish stuff and the fetish content and all that. My whole thing was always, well, at least I'm not naked or topless. So that's why feet content and all this weird stuff. I would just be like, well, at least it's not, and then just go about my way, not thinking twice about how dark it is. So there was a time where this is where this clip came into me. I was like, damn, dude. I've never, ever, ever said this out loud ever until right now. There was a time where I was really, really broke. And I was in a really, really bad place. And this fan of mine offered a lot of money for just one photo. And I broke my rule and I did it.
Wow.
And even though it was years ago, it bothers me to this day.
Really?
It bothers me to this day because I feel like I sold a piece of my soul because I made a pact with myself for my reasons of that part of my life is over, of doing topless and nude stuff. And this is no knock to anyone that does it out there. Everyone's on their own journey. The reasons why I stopped doing it are very valid to me. And so I kind of was like, whatever. And it weighs on me. And then just like that movie, when it's just like, just close your eyes, da da da. That's like when I've tried to, like, without saying that story, but just be like, oh, I just have guilt about like some of the modeling I've did and like to other girls. And they would just be like, well, so what? Like, it's already done, or it was just one photo, like whatever. Cause like that's all I've ever said is like, oh, I just did this one photo one time, whatever. But I never got into like that why it affected me so much because I broke my rule that I was so, like the man said, disciplined about. No matter how much money people would throw my way, even these professional, well done, Playboy like scenarios, even though it wasn't Playboy, like the style was, it was done really well, good money. But I was like, no. But then I was in a place where like when the guy says, there's a part I clipped out of there. It was like, oh, that's a lot of money. Or no, the guy does say it. He's like, oh, what you can do with it. For me, it was, I can pay my rent with this money. And I carry that guilt with me. I have bad dreams about that in different ways. It comes out in my dreams. And when I saw that clip, because I just seen it like this week, so it's new. Like I never knew this movie existed, and it hit me so effing hard that I was like, you know what? The only way I'm gonna be able to finally let this go is I have to talk about it and like release it. So what better way to do it than on TMI?
TMI. Well, I mean, look, that's a lot to share, 100%. But I mean, look, you have to do what you have to do sometimes. And unfortunately, you did go back on what you promised yourself. Living with it, it's hard, but you have to move past things that you did if it helped you in that current time. I mean, that's the way I look at it.
Yeah, but that's the thing is and I get that, but the reasoning behind why I don't want to do it anymore. And then I did it. And then not only that, but it's one of those things, and I hate this about myself because anytime I've done like fetishy things and they're like, well, at least I'm not naked or, topless, but it was like kind of creepy and I kind of try to gloss over it. And then I would like do it and I'm like, oh, well, like whatever. I swear to you, every time, like sometimes within days, some kind of form of money will come my way in a way that doesn't make me feel shame. Whether it's landing a gig, selling a bunch of merchandise, doing a signing, like whatever. Like something always pops up shortly after. And so that's why the guilt sets in. Like this whole thing, I thought, well, just like you did, well, at least I got to pay, blah, blah, blah. And then turns out like I didn't have to do that, dude. And so then that
Yeah,
kicks
all
me.
right. Yeah, I
That
understand where
kicks
you're
me even
coming with that.
harder.
Right, right.
And I know that some people think it's just boobs, like who cares, like whatever. But point is, I care. I care that this person has this photo of me in a way that I broke the contract with myself because of being in a bad moment. and I hate it. And I'm sure that person's going to see this video and they're going to be like weird about it. And I don't mean for them to feel weird about it because they're still a fan of mine. And I've never brought it up to them. So I knew going into this, talking about it, that there's a good chance that that person's going to, and I don't want them to feel bad because they're not me. I could have just said, no, I told you I don't do topless stuff anymore.
Right.
But and it was so long ago that they're probably like, whoa, that bothers her still? Like, oh. But it does, dude. It does. Because that's how it feels to me, is like I sold a piece of my soul in a panic.
Right. Let me ask you this, devil's advocate here. If Playboy was to relaunch in its original form, and they called and said, Shelly, you are the one we've been waiting for. We're relaunching, and we've heard that you always wanted to be a Playmate, and you're our Playmate. Would you go back on it because the Playboy came a calling?
Absolutely not.
Okay, so it's just something that in that moment of weakness, you gave into temptation. If you decide to carry that burden on your back, you're going to let all the other little burdens of things that you may have done throughout your life that you're starting to get over and build towards a positive future, you're going to let those things weigh you down more. So
Absolutely.
I'm not saying get over it and move on, but what I'm saying is try to find things or try to find ways to make this feel less burdensome as time goes on. Because you did it, and unless you ask for it back or sign an NDA.
But it's not even about that. It's that this person saw me in a form that I am not okay with, because I was in a weird moment of panic. And that's why that's why I wanted to talk about this when I saw it. Because again, I just saw this video and that's when I was like, I'm just gonna put it out there because that's the only way I'm gonna get rid of it. Just like all this other stuff we've been talking through, that's the only way. So I know that just sharing that TMI part of me today or tonight with you and with all the viewers, that's my first step of finally, because I've never said it out loud. Like I said, when I talked to other girlfriends of mine that are in the industry, I've never gone into detail. I've been like, oh, well, there's this one photo I did. I wish I didn't. And then some of my fetish friends were like, oh my gosh, Shelly, you don't even do topless or nude. And they don't realize that's what I'm talking about. I did. And if I would have said that, even though they probably would have been like, oh, who cares? They would have probably been like, oh my God, because I was so the girl that stuck to my guns. And the thing is they'd be like, oh, well, no one's going to see it. And it's it's not about that. It's about, like you're saying, NDA, it's not about that. It's that it even exists.
I get it. I get what you mean.
When that girl took a bite of the freaking meat, and I relate to that because I don't eat meat. And you cannot tell, when I watched it, over and over, and then I put myself in her shoes as far as the vegetarian part, there's no way. I don't care. There's no way I'm going to eat an effing steak. There's no effing way. And then that was when I was like, wait a minute. But then going back to what it triggered, it's so crazy that there's no way I'd eat meat. But years ago, there was a time where I took a bite of that steak as far as the content went.
Right.
And that made me re-examine. I was like, whoa, that's so crazy how I can be so on board when it's the animal, but when it's me, the animal, I compromised. And it was kind of a scary moment to me to look at it like that.
I feel like anything that I can say isn't going to help because it is something that I can't relate to in that way. But I do relate to the desperation of needing to patch the hole. So I get that part. And in that moment, there are things that I have done that I don't love. But in the moment, don't really, I desensitize myself to the situations because I got to do what I got to do. But then afterwards, I feel that same reflection of, well, it probably wasn't the best thing. Wasn't the same thing as you, so I can't relate to that specific example. But I wish I could, so I could give you something a little more
And you know what?
substantial advice wise.
You just listening and all that is like enough. Like I'm not like here's the thing. There's no advice or answers I'm looking for cuz the answer is me reclaiming my energy by saying this out publicly. Like I'm a firm believer of how impactful saying something is, you know? And if not for nothing, even if people out there still think like, who cares? For me to own my energy and walk away tonight feeling like I finally let go. It's almost like like going to confessional, you know, when people go to, you got to get it off your chest. You got to say it out loud. Like that's the only way you got to confess. And then in the Bible, you know, I always got to go there. It does talk about how, you know, confessing your sins to people, how it's a beneficial thing and like da da da. So I just feel like this was my time to confess my sin, even though some people think it's not one. It's my personal one to myself. And it's time for me to let it go because I got WrestleCon to think about, and I'm not going to let anything derail me or keep me down. And I feel like this is one of those little tiny things that I need to like kind of chip away at the things that have been weighing me down. I got a big chunk off with the Dave Bautista thing. I got an even bigger chunk off with hanging out with Kevin and that. I've gotten many chunks off with sharing with you and hearing your input and everything, doing my vampire radio and going there on there. So it's like putting everything together. And then on top of it, the good positive ingredients like we were talking about earlier, doing things like Ring the Bell, which is bringing me into the positive end of like, oh, where my pain comes from. It's like, it's all this thing. So it's like, this is the time for me to just continue to chip away at the weight because how you were saying, like the weighing down, I physically have been holding on to it to where I physically am like way down and I just don't want it anymore, man. So that's what the whole point of this TMI exposing myself, possibly losing a member is.
Hopefully not.